well, nobody can at that point say how and when it will be fully implemented. But first of all, I would like to congratulate both sides, the opposition side and the ruling party, for coming together and to sign a more or less committed agreement. I think that was much more than anybody could expect it a week or 2 weeks ago. So I think this is a very good and a first step and a signal also towards the international parties, but as well as to their own society. When it will be fully implemented, we don't know. But of course, we will keep the pressure up so that ahead of the next elections, this should be in line to the OSCE ODIHR recommendation and the Venice Commission. And that's all what we can do. We can second this recommendation. This is in our interest as well as the Georgian voters. Well, I mean, I guess it would be smart of the ruling party not to step away from this. I think it is good because they know we're going to watch them. They know there will be a very close observation from all different parties, from our EU delegation, from the other international partners. So I think it must be in their interest to fully implement this agreement. But of course, at that stage, we cannot exactly say. I think you could see a rising polarization, especially in the political spheres. I don't think it was smart to really arrest this amount of people. And also, I think when it comes to judiciary, I don't think it was a very, let's say, appropriate selection of judges. And all this come together in the situation where you see that is a very, let's say, a small window of opportunity when you can change things. And that's why we had to decide whether we would like to address all these matters directly to the Prime Minister, or we would like to wait until they solve it themselves. And we have decided to address our concern directly to the Prime Minister. This is not a complete, let's say, prevention of doing so, but I think it's time to recognize for the ruling party, for the government, it's not in the interest of Georgia to have the judges appointed by political loyalty, but by competence, by knowledge, and by experience. And all this together means this needs a new reappointment phase or a new selection, and this should be really completely led by juridical or legal, let's say, experience and facts rather than political direction. Yeah, well, because of coronavirus, we do not know the exact time or the exact day, the exact plenary session, but of course we will fight for having this debate. I think it is important to show our interest in Georgia. It's also important to show it to the Georgian population that we acknowledge what happened, but we also further, let's say, watch and observe the ongoing process. So until it is fully implemented, it must be in our interest to be critical, constructive, and then also, let's say, appreciate what the government is going to do. I mean, for me, it could be more outspoken, but since it is a joint resolution where all the main groups agreed on, of course, they are from different sides, maybe a more cautious approach, let's put it this way, but nevertheless, everyone knows what is meant. And it was also said that there should be not the influence from one side into the political and so forth and so forth. But of course, you're right. If I had only written this the resolution, I would have named it, because it is obvious and it is important to show that we are aware of the main influence and the power of Ivanishvili in Georgia. This is for sure. Absolutely, that's a compromise, a simple compromise. I don't know how we're going to deal in other countries, such as Ukraine. You have Kolomoisky, you have Akhmetov, and I always name them because the oligarchs, they destroy the countries. And in the case of Ivanishvili, I mean, he's the only, let's say, bigger one, and he's the dominant one. And I think even in the interviews we should name it, and that's why it is good that you ask me.